So I was hoping, just maybe, I would get away today and broadcast a little bit. I got up, was like, yeah, what I'm saying, I'm a little hungry. Went to the store, grabbed something to eat, got back on, logged into the game, got everything set up to broadcast, and then said, I don't want to play this game. And then I was going to sit there and broadcast another game and realized that the other game, because it's in early access, won't stream on either OBS or Streamlabs. So I got I sat there and played the other game for a while instead. Welcome back, man. My name is Rico. I am your host here at the Rico Show, live and uncut. That's right. I was going to do this earlier. As you guys can tell, I got rid of all the little mystical, magical red dots. Got all set up to get my party going, you know what I'm saying? Get my dailies done, sat down, and was like, man, I do not want to play this dang game. This was like 4 hours ago, so I sat down and I played Once Human, and I got into it last night. I downloaded it yesterday. I signed up for it like when it came out because everybody and their brother was jumping all over it. Now, it's a NetEase game, which is the same producers of this game alongside Blizzard. NetEase is Blizzard's Chinese partner because of trade agreements and stuff like that, trade laws in China. You got to have somebody who's Chinese on some other company in order for it to go into China. It's weird law. I didn't make it up. I just know that through some research of my own and stuff like that, the partnership between Blizzard and NetEase, that was kind of a little trashy at the beginning. That's exactly what has to happen. So NetEase is one of Blizzard's partners for this game, and for the longest, like, we try to figure out like what NetEase did with their money. You know what I'm saying? Like where they invested it, and now it makes sense. For those of you guys that don't know, so give you guys a little backstory. The first month that this game was made, Blizzard made $150 million in 30 days. And then they continued to make $30 million a month for the first year. And then I think it's down to somewhere along the lines of like $5 to $10 million a month just off of this game alone. Maybe even more than that. They haven't released any quarterly statements in a long time to update us. So again, we won't know. Oh, thank God. We won't know. So probably never will know, but it's okay. Oh, this is going to be a rough one. So to put it lightly, I believe it was a 50-50 split between Blizzard and NetEase on this game. So NetEase netted easily probably around like 60, well, after taxes, $65-75 million in profit easily off of this game within the first month. Okay, so we know what Blizzard did with their money, and to let you guys know, so you guys can shake your brow, it did not go into the pockets of a bunch of CEOs, because at that point they had just fired their CEO during the partnership and moved towards producing a new CEO and rearranging the company, as well as selling to Microsoft during this time era, so alongside Activision. So what I'm saying, you guys have at least a little bit of an understanding. I think it's going to be on the left side of how this came about. So NetEase and Blizzard broke up for a couple of months, and I think it was like last year they came back. So I want to say like overall NetEase might have made probably a few $100 million off of Blizzard and and this particular game. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, most game companies will either pay out big bonuses, pay stockholders, and some of their development team and stuff like that bonuses. I don't know what NetEase did with their side of the money because again, it's China. We don't question it because it gets covered in propaganda and rhetoric, that sort. You're never able really to understand like Chinese businesses unless you're a businessman that works with the Chinese on a consistent basis. So going back into that, and I don't know why I did that, but I did it anyways. Going back into it, so when NetEase and Blizzard came back together, like I was like, all right, cool. What the hell's NetEase been doing? Because I looked at some of their stuff, and I wasn't thoroughly impressed by a lot of their mobile games. Now, like they're big over in China, but it's they don't translate very well over to an American audience. A lot of their games don't. So I took a look into like future stuff, and Once Human popped up, and I was like, all right, cool. They didn't have much information out on it at the time, so I was like, I'll do I'll do my own research and figure it out later. Well, come to find out that Once Human is a free game that they've put out. It's free while it's in development. I'm pretty sure that if you sign up for it, like most of these development games, if you sign up for them like super early, they're pretty cool about like letting you stay. So they've got early access to the game. You can buy a costume thing for like $30, but you get to play the game early, and it's actually really good. Surprisingly, it plays. If it kind of plays like a cross between like Parasite Eve as far as like the storyline goes, but the combat system kind of reminds me of kind of like Defiance almost, but a lot better. With a more mix of being like a survival strategy game. You know what I'm saying? Or a survival real time shooter. It's own game. I'll say that much, and it's fun. You know what I'm saying? Like I've actually had fun with it. Like I went into it with again, like I've always have a good attitude towards video games. When I'm beta testing them, so I know there's going to be some rust spots on early access and betas and whatnot, and I was just like prepared for the worst, like but it wasn't bad. Like it was a really unique experience, and I highly recommend it, and I'm probably not going to be. I'm so far behind on these builds, but it's okay. I can get that. I think I might have broken a record here. We'll find out here in a minute. Hold on. Because, yeah, I did. I broke a record, so I'm ahead of myself again on Oda. I don't know what's up with that. That normally doesn't happen. So just to let you guys know, because that 230 came from, killing that last mob. 100 of it came from killing that last mob. So so playing it was a really good experience, and then of course, like I was again expectations, because Blizzard's a strong game development company, and they're really weird about their UI. They're very weird about their IPs when they loan it out to other companies. Like, for example, like with Diablo Hellfire, when Sierra did development on it, they were really anal about what extra classes were allowed to be put into the game. They developed 3 for the game, but only 1 got released, and the other 2 you have to unlock by editing like 2 lines of code in the game in an INI file in order to unlock the other 2 classes. The 3 classes in Hellfire, one obviously is the monk, but the other 2 are the bard and the barbarian. The reason why the bard was never released was because it was just something goofy that the developers were toying around with, and Blizzard was like, well, doesn't really make sense, but it's whatever if you guys don't put it out. You know what I'm saying? So they left the code in, but they killed that. And then the other one was the barbarian, and secretly, and this came out a little later on one of the interviews, that Sierra got contacted by Blizzard about the barbarian, stating that it was going to be put in Diablo 2, and that they didn't want to have it in Hellfire because they didn't want to put expectations if in case Sierra did something different with the class. that than what Blizzard had when the second game came out. People would have this expectation that this class would do this instead of what it was, but it was actually pretty on par, honestly, with um, the one in Diablo 2, as close as it could get. Like, you didn't have Whirlwind or anything like that because you had the standard Diablo 2 attacks, but you did have the ability to dual wield two-handed weapons. See what I'm saying? So that was something different. Um, so, but Blizzard was just a little bit worried, and so they combed over all the spells and stuff like that, and there was a lot of stuff that was taken out of that game. I love the game. I play it at least once a year. I'll jump on to Diablo 3 and I'll do the Darkening of Tristram event. All because like Diablo 1, man. Like, Diablo 1 was like oh shit, I got a rare node. Was literally like the penultimate game back in the 90s. Like, it defined an entire genre of role-playing games. It really did. You know what I'm saying? Like, there would be no Path of Exile. There would be no Grim Dawn. There would be no, Last Epoch if there wasn't a Diablo 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it really did define, and what that meant, for a lot of folks is that, like, Blizzard really does handle their IPs really well. So that's why, like, I didn't have the expectations of the UI looking clean and crisp like you do with most Blizzard games. Like, as glitchy as some Blizzard games can be, the one thing I can always, count on is that the access to the game is going to be clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, the user interface, the menus, and all that are going to be really easy to go through. But I feel them, kind of be like, you muddle around in some game companies' menus. Like, and I'll give you a good example. And I have nothing against this company anymore because they've made amends with a lot of games. But Funcom is not very good at user menus. I played all the games that they've released. I played pretty much Conan what was it, Age of Conan, and then I played what was that other game? Damn it! They had a role-playing game, another ARPG that was very brief. It was kind of sci-fi, and then Two Worlds. I played that a little bit, and again, it all boils down to, like, the games are good, but the user interfaces are kind of gritty. Well, the games are okay. I can't say good. Age of Conan was it was good in the beginning, and then once you got past, like, the first chapter, it just kind of felt like a sinker in the ocean. It was bad. Folks, I played beta. I bought the collector's edition of the game. I bought the game actually twice because I was dual boxing. I actually had two computers at the same time running two accounts. I had a girlfriend at the time. She couldn't play all the time, but she liked playing with me. And so I had two gaming computers personally. One was a studio computer and the other one, but it was a gaming computer. And the other one was for, straight up me, you know what I'm saying? Like, one was for the radio and one was for me. And I would dual box my accounts together, and then let her play her character on my account, on the spare account. So that way, we were caught up together. Little sweetheart stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, and folks don't get that. It's like, oh, I don't, like, if you got a loved one, like, okay, because my old lady at the time was a pharmacist, all right? She worked. You know what I'm saying? She come home and she was just brain dead. Could I blame her? No. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, like, she'd have long hours sometimes at the pharmacy. Shit would get busy. She'd be the only one on deck, or the other pharmacist would call in, and so she would have to take over, work, 12 to a 16-hour shift. And you guys don't understand that. Like, oh, well, state law. No. State law only is for some jobs, most jobs, but it doesn't cover medical. Okay, like, so doctors, nurses, pharmacists, police officers, firefighters, pilots and stuff like that. They don't, cops, first responders. They don't get that, and so where she was working, because she was working at the farm. She was working, and you guys are going to ask, well, she worked at a pharmacy, you know, they got 9 to 5 hours. She worked at a pharmacy in a hospital. Okay, she had a big girl job. So that pharmacy was open 24/7. Okay, they didn't ever shut down. You know, it's in a hospital. So before you guys go, you know, like trying to pick apart a story, that's, you know, because I know some of y'all are gonna be like, wait a minute, I go to like, you know, Kroger or Winn-Dixie or fucking Walmart and like their pharmacy. It's like, no, dude, a real pharmacy, not like, you know, corporate. You know, I'm talking like, well, I mean, you know, hospitals are corporations too, but I'm talking about like a legit, it's in the hospital pharmacy. So, you know, she didn't exactly have the kindest of hours. So I was a sweetheart, and, you know, I took over and put her on follow and rolled her characters around with me when we played WoW. And then when we got into that game, I did the same thing because, again, I wanted her to have the ability to keep up. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't her fault, you know, that you know, she had pharmacists that called in on her, you know what I'm saying, that day. So, you know, no problem. I got you on. You know, or if I was on, I would just go log in and play it by myself, you know what I'm saying? Because I would get my shit done early sometimes. Just log over to the account and play it by myself. So that way we would, you know, we'd be able to do stuff together. Because I always had this like theory. It's like the family that games together stays together, and it's kind of a fact. If you do, man, you tend to have a much better productive family unit. You know, like some people think that, oh, you know, this whole gaming crap is just you know, it's a waste of time. It is, but it's a positive waste of time. Think of it like, oh shit, I didn't get over there when he didn't crack it good. I'm trying to collect as much ore as I possibly can. All right. But yeah, you know, you do stuff like that. I did that with my best friend too. Like when when we were living together, dude. Like I'd just go turn his computer on, right click his mouse, have his character put me on follow. I go run his quest for him. You know what I'm saying? We lived together. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He was at work. I was off that day. I'd hit him up, be like, hey man, I'm gonna play your account. All right, cool, dude. You know what I'm saying? And then I'd run his. He didn't do PvP. That was the one thing like he never did. So I was kind enough to. You know, be that loyal, awesome friend. I farmed out his entire PvP set for that season. He got on one day because I forgot to, you know, switch his shit over from his armor, and he looks over. He's like, "Why the hell do I have?" You know, because I put it all in his bank. You know what I'm saying? He's like, why the hell is my regular gear in my inventory and my PvP? You got this weird gear on me. I'm like, dude, that's your PvP set. It's actually better than your regular gear. What? I farmed out all your PvP set, man, on your warlock because I didn't have a warlock, you know. And it's not, you know, for those of y'all that is really difficult back in the day to you know what I'm saying, like early in the game to roll out 2 characters, you know what I'm saying, and I didn't have 2 characters, and about this point I had 1.5 character. I had a character everybody knew me as Ozonius, but I also had a horde character also, and so I didn't have another alt on the other side quite yet, you know what I'm saying. I hadn't come up with my cadre, a little army of toons quite yet, because I have I can't make any more characters on my account. Like I have all 50 slots full. That's, I don't know if they've increased that since I've quit, but I can tell you it was 50. 50 was the max that you could have on your account, and I had all 50 full, but not all 50 were maxed out. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't that big into it, but quite a few of them were. And what it was like, you know, you get that friend to be like, hey man, like come over to my server and play with me. And I didn't want to spend $30 transferring, $15, $20, $30 transferring a character over. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, hey man, I'm just going to go roll a character and I'll get caught up. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, a couple months later, I hit them up and I'm like, hey man, I'm all caught up. And they're like, holy shit, you did get caught up. And then I'm playing with them, you know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of stuff I would do. Or, you know, if I did, I had a mule character, and this mule character was literally like maxed out, had, you know, was just gathering, you know what I'm saying? Like didn't have any crafting, but had all the, I believe I was leatherworking and, herbalism. And so I transferred that character over for about 6 months, mule, while I leveled the other character, and then used the mule character to fund the new character on that server, and then transfer it off once the new character hit max. So again, like there were ways of going about it to to make it easier on me, and without having to spend as much money on like transferring a main character over. Because I like that was one, it was expensive. Two, I might have been doing 9 out of 10 times I was like probably with a good clan, like a really good set of people. And I didn't want to transfer, but I did, and I tell them that, look, dude, like I'm in game over on this server. Let me start a character on your server. So I wound up with like 50 characters that way. Another way to do it too, and this is Blizzard's got some really weird rules. Okay, take this, write this down. You can, okay, so if your accounts have the same name, you are allowed to do certain things between those accounts. And in certain games and certain things between those accounts, you're not allowed to do. So, for example, like in this game, you're allowed to farm on another account, and you're allowed to trade. You're allowed to sell gems to your other character on this account if you can get lucky and do it fast enough. But you're not allowed to basically like multi-box farm and like mess with other people's accounts that way. So it's really weird. Now the character transfer rules. So you could transfer characters from account to account, and a lot of people will be like, "Well, why is that? How does that work? Why would they ever do that?" Well, back in the day, you could buy an account, and of course, as long as the account was in your name, it had a different username, but it had the same email. So the email and the regular name and the address had to match on the accounts for this to happen. Once that matched, as long as nothing was changed, because they look, I'm saying, to make sure that the information just wasn't changed overnight. Then what they would do is they would transfer it from the account. Well, they used to have that recruit a friend, and they still do. And recruit a friend is the best way to level an alt character and get it to max level without spending a whole lot, without actually, spending a whole lot of time and or money. And I've done this multiple times. So what you do is you make an email, and you put your name, address, and phone number in there. So you can use your secondary email. It works this way too, because again, the name and address have to match the account. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't necessarily have to be the email address. They would prefer it be the email address, but the name and address do not have to. The name and address have to match on the account. So you'll recruit yourself off of one of your secondary emails, create the account, buy the account, buy the copy of Warcraft, like just do Warcraft Classic. All right, it's a good idea. Take your main character, do the recruiter friend on your main character, buy the account on your alt character. You know what I'm saying? Like buy a copy of the game or a subscription so you can get a reward on your main account, and then you'll get triple XP and a free mount. And typically the mount is a dual mount, which means that you and your partner, usually 1 to 2 other people, can ride it with you. And then you just start a brand new character on your account, and you take your new character on your main account and your new character on your recruiter friend account, and you quest until I think it's like 10 levels before max level. And I think that's when the triple XP shuts off, is usually about 10 levels before that. Once you max that character out, now you have 2 characters that are capable of running raids, etc., on 2 separate accounts. You can then transfer one character off to the main account and then rinse, repeat. You start another character on the main account, another character on the spawned account, and on the and then you try to knock it out. You give yourself 30 days. You can reach close to max level with a character in 2 weeks with triple XP if you do it that way. That's like straight up. Like in WoW Classic, you can reach about level 45 to 50 in about 2 weeks of, you got to get on every day and be playing every night. You know what I'm saying? But you'll do it between two characters. You can level them to about 45, level 45 to level 50 with Recruiter Friend in about 2 weeks. So that gives you opportunity to level two characters, you know what I'm saying, before your 30 days is up. Now, if you need longer, take longer. But you also need to realize that in order for you to transfer your characters from one account to the next account, the account also still has to be active. So you may pay for, you may want to get a nice, a bundle going for, fucking cheaters. You may want to get a bundle going for, really, guys? This is a quest zone. I'm reporting every single one of you. AFK. This is the stupidest stuff ever. All right. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. The way that it always, works though is that, you could always just transfer everything back in. You can activate the account, but remember the Recruiter Friend only lasts 90 days and you have 30 days of activation between your accounts. So you can max out minimal one character and then spend $15 to transfer it from your account, and it's still cheaper than going out and buying a level 60 character. And you're actually 2 for 1, you know what I'm saying? A 2 for 1 deal, because you're only spending $30, you know what I'm saying, to 45 technically, so you're saving $15. And if you do it right, you can actually get a 4 for 1 deal. You can get 4 characters done for the price of what it costs to buy one. You see, so there's ways around it. And then, you don't want to work on any of your crafting or any of that other shit. Don't do that until after, you can get as far as you can get on the triple XP. That's that's kind of a must. I can't, stress that more, because a lot of people will sit there like, oh, well, I'll just farm, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my herbalism and alchemy up. And it's like, don't do that, dude. You're on a time limit. You have 90 days total with the Recruiter Friend, but you've got to remember you're spending, $14.99 every 30 days in order for you to be able to play the game. So try to knock it out. Now, if you don't have any time at all, this is not a tip for you guys, but it does work in WoW. It does not work in very many other games, other MMOs, but I know it works in WoW. It doesn't work in this game either. You can try it, but because you do have follow, they have other ways of grinding out XP. This game's time gated though. What's time gating? It's when a game company locks out the players from maximizing potential levels in order to prevent people from blowing by the content and causing the game to become severely unbalanced. Because you will have these players who will literally spend their entire... If the game was time driven, you know what I'm saying, like all you do is just have to put in all this time into the game, you would have so many players so far ahead that nothing would ever get done with the clans. Like the clan system, the social system, everything would be just completely useless in this game. And you're like, well, how's that? Okay, so if you say have 100 people out of 15, well, I'll tell you, our server's probably about 30,000 people. So if you have 100 people out of 30,000 people who are insanely strong, nobody's going to want to play with them. Against them, around, well, they're going to want to play with them to get them to run them through the heavy shit, but they're never going to want people, like, nobody's going to want to do Shadow Wars against them, nobody's going to do Battlegrounds against them, none of that. So you time gate it, so you give them extra leniency. So you say, okay, the server Paragon is level X. Okay, you have this many days to get to level X. All right. In this game, it's time gated week to week. Every week, the maximum server Paragon goes up 10 levels, and then there's nothing else after that. Well, there is, but you get a XP depreciation basically for every level you go up. So, for example, this week the server Paragon is 750. I'm 752. Okay, if I go into my character sheet over here and I click this little down arrow, I'm only getting 80% of my XP off of quests, turn-ins, and all that other jazz. So what that does is that I'm going to have to work just a little bit harder. Now, next level, or at 74, it'll depreciate again down to 60%, and then 40%. And then 20%, and then 10%, and then 1%, and then 0.5%, and then nothing at all. You cannot go above 20 levels above server Paragon at all. It is a complete waste of your time, because for every monster you gain, you're only getting 1% XP, or even 0.5% of the XP. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you were, like, it's hard to reach 3 million XP or 3.5 million XP if you're only getting 1 XP per monster kill. You would have to kill 3.5 million monsters in order for you to gain 1 level, which is a redonkulous amount. It would take you days. You know what I'm saying? Like, days. So it gets to the point to where it's not worth it. 2, gear drop levels decrease immensely when you go above server Paragon, so you're not able to it's not as good. You're not able to get as much or as good a gear as you would normally get as if you were to stay, at or a little bit above. The sweet spot in the game is 10 to 13 levels above Paragon. So 760 to 763 is the sweet spot right now this week. So if I can get between 760 and 763, I still keep my legendary bonus, but I've got the gear drop bonus too, the triple gear drop bonus. If I go to 764, I lose 5% legendary find, but I gain another 0.5% of triple find. So I won't get as many legendaries, but the legendaries I do get to drop may have the potential of being a best in slot. So there are caveats to it, and that's why, we try to explain to our players, don't chase the imaginary dragon. It doesn't exist. And when they look at you funny when you say that, but they realize, you're right, it doesn't exist. So, what I mean is, we call it the combat, or the CR dragon, the combat rating dragon. They'll look at a player with resonance, the players that have, these extraordinarily large wings, okay? And then they'll look at their combat rating and see that their combat rating is, just this redonkulous amount. It's usually, 2,000 to 3,000 ahead of theirs. So then all of a sudden, you get it in your head. It's like a psychological game that I'm not good enough. You know what I'm saying? I am not good enough. I don't have the gear that person has. I have to be able to, keep up with that person. The reality is that the gems that they bought with cash, okay, that they gambled with and earned with cash are the only reason why they have 2,000 to 3,000 combat rating above you. It has nothing to do with the drop rate of the gear itself. The gear is going to be the same level for everybody. So if the gear is the same level for everybody, and you start looking at the gear and say, like, you got 2350s and he's got 2350s, and your gear is ranked up to rank 30 and his gear is ranked up to rank 30, and your secondaries are maxed out, his secondaries are maxed out, but you're still 2,000 points behind, then the next thing to look at is its resonance. And if his resonance, if you're sitting there at like 2,000 resonance and he's sitting at like 10,000 resonance, that's because he's got, 1,500 to 2,000 combat rating worth of 5-star gems that you do not have. And each rank, it goes up more combat rating. So that's why I with these new players, we try to get across to them. It's like, dude, I love you and all, dude, but you're killing yourself, and you really are. You're killing yourself. I didn't have these yesterday. I didn't have the pearls to get this, so now I've got the pearls to get this. I'm stoked. I need to figure out what gems I need. I need gems. Oranges and blues. By the look of it, I'm going to need some... Hold up. How many do I need? I think I just need 1 sapphire. Hold on. Let me look. I just need 1 sapphire. Holy shit. And then the rest can be... Alright, so 200 for the sapphire. Check. And then 3 aquamarines. So that's why we try to tell people, when you get your combat rating up, don't stress trying to keep up with the Joneses. That's what these players paid for. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're paying for that jump in combat rating. Enjoy the ride. You'll get there one day if you either put money into the arcade machine, or you grind your ass off. Because I'm not saying that it's not possible. Like, we do have a couple of low res players who have, they have no life, honestly. Like, they put all their time and effort into this game. And I'm not going to bust their chops for it. Fuck, dude, I'd do the same thing if I was in their case, if I had the opportunity. I can't, though. You know what I'm saying? It's not the fact that I got a job. It's the fact that I would go crazy, but they love this game. And so they put a little extra, love into it. And by doing that, they've learned. All right. But there's not everybody is going to have the same combat rating. And again, that boils down to some people just get luckier than others. But if you can get close to, usually with it, like 100 combat rating isn't going to make a difference. It really isn't. It's not much. Now 1,000, that's a big jump. Can you fight somebody that has 1,000 more CR than you? Yeah, I do it all the time. You know what I'm saying? It happens. You just deal with it. All right. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. I need to... Oh, shit. I need to knock out Ray Ray's quests. And I'm done with Ray Ray for the day and Oda for the day, except for Assembly. It's a weird Tuesday. I apologize. I'm a little caffeinated. I had to get some caffeine this morning. I could feel... I've been sick the last couple weeks. And I felt a little down, you know what I'm saying? Like, just no energy. I don't need a whole lot. Usually like a cup of coffee or a dark cola. I don't drink a whole lot of dark cola for that reason. Most of it's got caffeine in it, except for like root beer, or unless it's caffeine free. Most dark cola has caffeine in it. So I gotta watch myself with it. I love caffeine. I'm wrong. Love the hell out of caffeine. Gotta have it, but I gotta watch how much I put in me too, because I'll be up for days, and I gotta stay up tonight because I gotta work Thursday. Trying to work Thursday and Saturday if I can get the days. It'd be great. I love my job. The only downside to it is that hours aren't where they really need to be on it. Like, I'll work a couple days a week, sometimes 1 to 2 days a week right now because of like the weather. That's what really kills it. Like if I was down in Kentucky, where I originally came from, or Texas, I live in Wisconsin, it'd be a different story. Like I'd have a lot more time, but it's a lot of snow up here, and so the DSPs make the decision, not the company I work for. Our delivery partners make the decision on whether they're going to send their crew out or not. We just, we listen to them because you only have so much room in a warehouse. So, like when you're doing deliveries and you're staging stuff, you only have so much room for the stages, and you can't be too far ahead. So even if we could come in, like we could only stage ahead maybe a shift. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we wanted to, we can only be one shift ahead, one day ahead. Technically speaking, we could only stage one day ahead without it being too messy. So, and typically when I get in there, you know what I'm saying? Like I know, like, and I've had some, days where like they've canceled work and stuff like that. And they've given us a call early, you know what I'm saying, to let us know, like, state of emergency was declared, it's too much snow, don't come in, kind of stuff. And you end up losing hours because of it, because, I'm new and I don't have what they call paid time off. I get vacation time, but I don't get, I'm more of a flexible associate, so I make my own schedule. Some of you guys probably realize who I work for, because you probably work for him too. And be like, I know exactly what he does. I don't want to bring him up, but it's a good company. I love them, you know what I'm saying? But the only problem is that where I'm at in the position, now I know it's like fixing to get stupid busy here in the next month, since taxes are starting to trickle back in. People are starting to order more. And so, business is fixing to get booming. All right, next part. Hungering scrubs. I had gotten a text message like 6 minutes ago asking if I wanted to come in tonight. It's like, no, I'll work tomorrow night. I'm going to enjoy my day off. If they had texted me early in the morning, you know what I'm saying, I probably would have. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's like, it's 4 o'clock here, which means like if I wanted to go in tonight, I would have to literally like pass out like right now and wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and then go to work. I don't want to deal with that. Y'all know how that goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a working guy. It's like, what do? I do logistics. I handle logistics for a Fortune 500 company. It's pretty much anything having to do with the warehouse I can pretty much do. I enjoy it. I was IT for a long time. Like, I've worn many hats, and I know a lot of people gonna question that. As they're, as time goes on, you guys will figure it out. I started working IT when I got out of the military, because I was kind of IT in the military. It was sort of my job, but sort of not. I was digital communications and then electronics repair. So when, because in the branch of the military I served in, we had dual MOSs. So you had your main MOS, and you had an MOS that was basically like a sister to it, or related to it, just in case like something happened to the guy that was in charge of this MOS. They had a second, they had a backup plan. So I took comms and electronics repair because, working on radios, they're going to get shot up, break, fall off your back, shattered, whatever, what have you, and they're going to need to get repaired. So later on in life, I got into the IT sector, and I worked IT for 18 years, and then I just one day decided I didn't want to do it anymore. Some people are like, why would you do that? Um, a lot of different reasons. One, the company I was working for, I felt underappreciated. I didn't feel like I was part of any team anymore. After being there for 13 years, I was kind of like on my own island consistently. And anytime that I would like ask for assistance on things, it would be like I just like kicked a animal in front of them or something. And I loved it at first working with this company, but then it turned into um, a really bad relationship. And as the sector was changing, and it was the IT sector was changing, the raises were not as lucrative as they used to be. And then it turned to where a company were outsourcing IT guys from directly out of college because they were able to do it cheaper because these kids would take, you know, whatever pay they were given, and then what the responsibilities were, they were menial tasks at times for the most part, but when they would get these major tasks, these kids would buckle under pressure and wind up losing their jobs. And then I would get a call, you know what I'm saying? And then they would want to know why I would charge so much. And it's like, well, you're charging for, you know, my years of experience and the fact that I could get this particular job done this in no time without having to worry about, you know, you guys falling, oh, geez, falling behind. So once they started realizing that, it was already too late. I was already starting to take less and less side contracts. Um, so I moved over the last 2 years to a different division of IT. I started working on CAN bus systems, which are the computer networks on a car. And then I moved to another, while still handling, you know, side stuff, but it just got to the point to where they, and this was everywhere, like the money just wasn't there. Like I can tell you, like I was making originally around 100,000 a year, and then it went down to like 85G a year, and then 75G a year, and then 60G a year, and that was just with one job. To make up money, I was having to pick up side jobs from other companies, contract companies, but then the side jobs were not paying much. You know what I'm saying? Like they went from being, because you would get like for a side job, for example, like I would get a contract for a company and it would be like a 6 month contract, and 6 months guaranteed me like, you know, 8 grand. We'll just use that as an example. All right. So say like I did a 6 month contract for a company, it guaranteed me 8 grand as long as that I got the contract done within 8 months. All right. So I could go in, I could crack out a contract in 2 months, get my 8 grand, and run with it. Because I wasn't going to be the one that was going to take over the project. I was just R&D, research and development. So I'd write the script, and then I would hand it over to their IT guys, and their IT guys would implement it, and then give me any feedback that was necessary to facilitate their job. It would make their job a little easier, and then I would move forward. Then it changed from, oh, well, we're going to have you to do contracts to, well, we'll have you up to 6 months or until the job is completed. See, the wording changed there. And the first time I ran into that wording, I got done 4 months, within 4 months on a 6 month contract, and I didn't get paid for the last 2 months. See what I'm saying? The money wasn't guaranteed. The money was only guaranteed if I took the time, the 6 months to do it. If I got done early, I lost money. So that's why you've got some of your guys or your IT guys might be lazy. You might feel your IT guys are lazy. It's because they're contracted. Okay? Contractors work themselves out of a job all the time. That's why they're contractors. That's their job, is to work themselves out of that contract so they don't have to do it anymore, so the company can hire somebody to take over the position. So, and then to make matters worse, after they changed the wording and the way that they wanted the contracts done, then they turned around and they started offering less money for the contracts. Why? Because they could hire these dumb college kids to do the same thing for much less. So your little boo-boo who is a computer whiz is now working for a third of what I made 10 years ago. Yep. Plain and simple. Economically, he's making a third of what I made 10 years ago. Because there's no money in it. When the economy went belly up, and then the market got flooded with a bunch of just overinflated egos, these kids wielding these college degrees. College degrees don't mean nothing in IT. It means you read a book, okay, and took a test and you passed. It doesn't mean that you know how to do the job. It just means that you learned how to do the job. It's no different than sending, like, let me give you an example of how this works. You ever had a new associate and you put them on a computer for the first 3 days of their employment, and then all of a sudden they come back, you know what I'm saying? They're on the sales floor for the first time. That's that college student. That sales associate took the equivalent of a fucking college test, basically, or a college course on how that company works, and now they got to implement it. It's no different. They have no work experience because college does not. There's very few colleges out there that make them do anything that applies to the real world. Like, they pay all they'll pay $100,000 for a friggin' degree. And during the entire time, they'll touch a computer, they'll take a computer apart, or they'll put it back together maybe once. If it ain't something that they don't do passionately on the side, then they're not going to be good at it at all until later on in their life. I can't say at all, but, until later on in their career. Okay, because they're so far behind the kids that are taking these things apart and putting them back together and know how they work. You cannot read a book and think that that piece of paper means that you know everything that you're talking about in your field. It doesn't. It's the same thing with mechanics. You can take the ASE Certified Master's Mechanics test, and you can even pass it without ever picking up a wrench, okay? But that does not mean that you know how to work on every single vehicle on the face of the planet. You don't, there are plenty of ASE master mechanics out there that will not, and that don't know how to work on BMWs, okay? That won't touch a Volkswagen because they're afraid to, okay? And you've heard these horror stories, right? I bought a freaking Audi and couldn't get nobody to work on it because, or they marked up the cost because of the Audi. Well, that's because the mechanics, you put too much faith in these certifications, you know what I'm saying? Like, never on the amount of time that a person has actually done the job. Like with my pops was an ASE certified master, and not just that, he was a master in 2 areas. He was a master in transmissions, and he was a master in HVAC for vehicles. Don't ask me why he got his HVAC masters. That's weird, I know. Most people run from transmissions. Like when I told a couple of my buddies, he's like, "What was your dad mastered in?" It's like, "Master transmission." Jesus Christ, no! It's like, what? That's the worst mastery that you can do. It was. My dad hated it. Dad hated transmissions, but it got to get, they needed to get done, and somebody had to do them, and he was getting paid good money to do them. Design and repair. It wasn't just repair. He did design and repair. He worked with SVT for a while, for Ford. So, yeah, man, like I said, just because they have the degree doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. Doctors, on the other hand, that's a different thing. Doctors, they have to. You know what I'm saying? They have to perform. You know what I'm saying? They got to work on a cadaver. They've got to go through all this other stuff. Not IT kids, no. It is literally like college to them is a crash course to whatever. You know what I'm saying? And again, I worked in the field for 24 years. You know what I'm saying? Total. Retired after like 18 of solid work. You know what I'm saying? Like between different companies, totally working 18 years total, but 18 years straight, but 24 total. So like literally over half my life I worked IT. Never again. You know what I'm saying? Will I ever get caught up in like that? Because again, it was so new, people didn't know what it was, and it just got stupid. It's so dumb. Like literally, like they were hiring kids. Like Geek Squad is hiring IT kids for like $16.50 an hour or less, depending on what market you live in. Some kids are making like 14 and a quarter. Y'all think I'm playing? I'm not. It's very bare bone out there anymore. It's really, really sad. Again, that's why I got out of it. Like I was making good money, like more than that, but it just like I got my last raise and it was like a quarter. You know what I'm saying? Not a quarter of what I made. It was like 25 cents, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And they're like, "Well, you're topped out." And I'm like, "I'm topped out? How the hell did I top out?" Oh, well, they changed the pay structure. So look at the pay structure, and it's like, yeah, I was topped out like 4 years ago now, according to this. That's facts. Yeah, I was topped out 4 years ago, according to this. How the hell did I get a quarter? Oh, that's a merit raise. We didn't want to send you with nothing. It's like, I'm going to argue with you about this. This is stupid. I went to another division of the company where, the top out money was a lot more, and worked that until they started shutting that division down. So, it is a very, you will work for 2 companies at a time sometimes, and you will work for multiple companies because nobody keeps you. You cannot retire. It's impossible to retire because you're always going to be looking for something to do. I mean, and I made good money. Like back in the day, dude. Oh God, yeah, you can make really good money. Like some people are like, oh man, like, dude, I made, like back in the early to mid 2000s, man, I made, like anywhere from 85 to 100 grand a year just with one IT job. The other IT job was part time, maybe a few hours a week here and there, but I was still making an additional 1,000 to 1,200 a month on top of it. So you do the math there. That's what 15,000. So if I'm about 100 to 115,000 a year total between 2 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, that was a lot. Before the gas crisis really kicked in and all that other stuff. I come from a family where I just worked a whole lot. I can't do that no more. All right. Well, we're done. We're done. All right. Wrapping this up. Y'all have a nice one.